How many people do you know who spent their lives trying to please everyone, overwhelmed by expectations, suffocating their emotions, only to end up completely drained? Robin Williams made the world laugh but carried silent suffering inside. A brilliant mind that couldn't bear the invisible weight of loneliness, pressure, and harsh self-judgment. If you don't learn to quietly let go of what's destroying you on the inside, the outcome can be devastating, not just for you, but for those who genuinely love you. This video isn't made to entertain you, it's here to set you free. And if you stay until the end and apply what you learn, I promise this: you will reclaim a peace that no one can take from you. My name is Adriano, and for over 10 years I've immersed myself in Stoic philosophy. Today I'll share 10 invisible burdens you must silently cut off if you want clarity, strength, and freedom. But first, let me show you the 4 most destructive ones. The ones that, when removed, create the greatest transformation in your life. Have you noticed how we've been conditioned to wait for someone else's validation? As if something only has value when another person approves of it. The need for approval is one of the most subtle and damaging weights a person can carry. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It shows up when you hesitate to speak your mind or avoid saying no to avoid displeasing someone. It shows up when you force yourself to fit into places you've outgrown. At the root is a quiet fear, the fear of rejection, which often operates without you even realizing it. That fear is built slowly, through childhood criticism that was never processed, teenage wounds that never healed, and toxic comparisons on social media. You smile on the outside, while inside a war is raging between who you truly are and who others expect you to be. Epictetus said, "If you wish to be free, then wish not to be approved by everyone." That truth is liberating. Real freedom begins when you stop convincing the world and start trusting yourself. But that takes courage and repetition. In real life, it means making small choices that defy your usual urge to be liked by everyone around you. How often have you agreed to go somewhere you didn't want to, just to avoid looking rude? How many times have you taken on extra work to not seem lazy? Those are the moments when you betray yourself internally while smiling externally. And with each one, a little piece of your peace disappears. Stoicism teaches us to live by our rational nature, not by others' expectations. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What is right remains right, even if no one does it. And what is wrong stays wrong, even if everyone is doing it." That sentence reminds us of a hard but liberating truth. Your worth doesn't come from others' opinions, but from the integrity you uphold within yourself. The more you reshape yourself to fit in, the more disconnected you become from your true self, forgetting what excites you, what you believe in, and what you genuinely long for, until you're stuck in a loop of constant self-adjustment. And that comes at a cost. According to a study published in the Harvard Business Review, more than 60% of people avoid expressing their genuine opinions out of fear of how others will perceive them. This fear directly affects mental health, leading to anxiety, emotional disconnection, and even depression. Because the human brain needs harmony between what we show and what we feel. When your outward behavior doesn't match your inner world, it creates a quiet conflict, not visible but deeply damaging over time. Another problem: the approval of others is unstable. Today you're celebrated, tomorrow you're ignored. Social standards shift, trends evolve, algorithms change constantly. If you base your life on this, you become like a leaf blown by the wind, drifting without direction. Amy Winehouse is a tragic example, immensely gifted, but carrying a deep hunger to be loved and accepted. The more she tried to meet the demands of fame and those around her, the more she lost herself. The pressure eventually became unbearable and consumed not just her body, but her soul. Her death wasn't only physical, it was the collapse of a spirit crushed by expectations and the absence of inner freedom. In contrast, Keanu Reeves walks a different path. He avoids social media, declines superficial events, rides the subway, and lives modestly. Yet, he is one of the most respected figures in Hollywood, not for trying to impress, but for refusing to do so. People respect him because he stays whole, authentic, and consistent. He's not performing, he's simply being. And that kind of presence is powerful. You don't need to make drastic changes to begin this practice. Start with small steps. The next time someone cuts you off while speaking, finish calmly. Stay rooted. When you're rushed for a decision that disrespects your values, say, "I'd prefer to take a moment to reflect." When someone pushes a belief that clashes with yours, listen respectfully, but don't fake agreement. That is self-respect. You'll start to see something clearly. The more you express your truth, the more obvious it becomes who truly respects you. Some people will walk away, and yes, that might hurt, but don't be fooled. They were never really with you. They were attached to the version of you that you presented for their approval. Stoicism doesn't teach you to be cold. It teaches you to be unwavering, to stand firm in what's right, even when it's uncomfortable. And in this case, what's right is refusing to betray your essence just to be liked. If you want true freedom, learn to be enough for yourself. Learn to trust your own judgment more than the expectations of others. Because when you silence the urge to be accepted, that's when real living begins. And real living is quiet, but deeply profound. There are people who can't sleep at night, and it's not because of insomnia. Every night, just before your eyes close, certain moments return. A word you wish you hadn't said, a mistake from years ago, an opportunity that slipped away. And like a scratched record, your mind loops back again and again. Have you ever felt stuck in a moment that no longer exists? When the past is not properly understood, it becomes a kind of inner prison that slowly tightens its grip on you. And the danger lies in this, that prison is built from within. Each unresolved memory, each lingering guilt, forges another link in the chain that keeps you from moving forward. Stoic philosophy addresses this with surgical precision. Seneca once wrote, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than he needs to." That sentence is like a key. It reveals that the pain isn't just in what happened, but in how tightly you continue to hold on to it long after it's gone. We all feel regret. It's part of being human. But there's a clear difference between learning from the past and living inside it as though it's still happening. That's where most people go wrong. They find themselves caught in an emotional loop, reliving what already ended as if it's playing out again in real time. Not only does that mental replay drain your energy, but it also steals your ability to be present, to experience now with clarity and peace. Modern neuroscience backs this up. A study by the American Psychological Association found that individuals who dwell on repetitive thoughts are twice as likely to experience clinical depression, because each time your brain revisits those memories, it activates the same pain centers as physical injury, meaning your body feels it as if it's truly happening again. So how do we break free? The solution isn't to forget the past. That would be denying your own story. The real change lies in how you choose to relate to your past from this point forward. A powerful exercise is conscious journaling. Take a pen and paper, or even your phone, and write down every painful thought you still carry, without censorship or shame. Give those thoughts names, give them shape, speak them aloud. Then close with a sentence that reclaims your freedom. This is no longer within my control. Burning that paper or deleting that note becomes a symbol of release. It's not mysticism, it's neuroplasticity. You are rewiring your brain to let go and move forward. Kurt Cobain's life is a powerful example of what happens when pain is left unprocessed. Childhood trauma, rejection, and hypersensitivity accumulated until it consumed him. His pain was quiet but relentless. Neither fame nor talent could silence the suffering inside him. Peace never comes from outside. It begins when you stop clinging to what cannot be changed. On the other hand, look at Oprah Winfrey, a woman who survived abuse, extreme poverty, and abandonment. Instead of being crushed by her story, she transformed each wound into a source of strength. She speaks openly about her past, not as a victim, but as someone who rose beyond it. That is Stoicism in motion. Not erasing the pain, but giving it a new and meaningful purpose. In your daily life, these things often begin quietly. Each time guilt creeps in, take a moment and ask yourself, does this still depend on me? If not, release it. If yes, then act. But never, under any circumstance, feed suffering simply out of habit. Many people keep hurting not because the wound remains, but because they've grown used to carrying pain long after the scar has healed. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Accept what fate brings you. Love those it binds you to." but love them with all your heart. That means accepting the roads already walked, even the ones you wish you could walk again. Because truthfully, there is no wrong path if you learn something from it. Peace begins when you stop fighting against time, when you realize the past cannot be changed, but it can be understood. And especially when you choose not to let old chapters define who you are now. Even though the past may have shaped you, it doesn't have to be the place you live. Moving on is a silent choice, but perhaps the most powerful one you can make today. Have you ever lost hours, days, maybe even weeks trying to control something completely out of your hands? Felt anxious because someone didn't reply or life didn't go as you imagined? That mix of helplessness and frustration is one of today's leading causes of anxiety. And strangely, it grows from the illusion of control. We're taught that if we do everything right, things will work out. But the reality is a huge part of life lies beyond our control. Trying to control the uncontrollable is like trying to hold the wind in your hands. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and one of the greatest Stoic minds, wrote, "If it's outside your control, it should not occupy your mind." It sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest and most liberating practices. In today's fast-paced and competitive world, the illusion of control becomes even more toxic. You try to control how others see you, your job performance, how loved ones behave, even the future itself. But none of that is truly in your hands. And the more you try to manage what you can't, the more you invite disappointment and a restless mind that waits for things to go exactly your way. And they won't. And that carries a cost. According to the American Institute of Stress, about 83% of workers in the United States suffer from stress caused by external forces beyond their personal control, like decisions from superiors, economic changes, or unexpected shifts. This kind of stress harms your physical health, interrupts your sleep, strains your relationships, and most of all, erodes your quality of life. So what's the solution? The answer is focus. Direct your energy toward what is truly within your reach. That is the essence of Stoic practice. Reclaiming your freedom through internal mastery. Instead of wasting time asking, why did this happen? Start asking yourself, what can I influence right now? Because that's the kind of question that brings your energy and peace back into your own hands. A practical way to do this is by creating a list with 2 columns. On one side, write everything under your control, your actions, your choices, your words, your effort. On the other side, list what's out of your hands. Other people's behavior, the weather, the past, the unexpected. Look at this list every day and commit to investing your time and energy only on what's in the first column. Let go of the second column. Michael Jackson is a powerful example of what happens when the desire to control everything becomes a trap. He micromanaged every detail of his image, career, and performances. And yet he lived in constant anxiety, distrustful of everyone around him, trying even to control how people would remember him. That obsession with perfection became a silent burden on his mind and soul. His life was dazzling on the outside, but deeply draining on the inside. In contrast, look at Joaquin Phoenix, a globally acclaimed actor who lives far from the traditional expectations of fame. He doesn't try to control the media, avoids unnecessary appearances, and focuses on what truly matters to him, performing with authenticity and living a simple, grounded life. Joaquin understands that what's within reach is his dedication, his presence, his craft, and everything else he releases. That's what freedom really is. Stoicism doesn't tell us to give up. It teaches us to accept, and accepting doesn't mean quitting. It means recognizing with maturity what lies beyond our influence so we can act powerfully where we actually can. When you try to control everything, you burn out. But when you focus on what depends on you, you grow stronger. This mindset also transforms how we relate to others. How many times have you tried to change someone? Tried to shape a loved one's personality or expected them to behave exactly how you wanted? And when they didn't, you felt disappointed and hurt. But was that pain truly about love? Or was it just about trying to dominate what was never yours to command? Acceptance takes practice and emotional clarity. Next time someone does something that unsettles you, pause and ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, breathe, step back, and remember what Marcus Aurelius said. Peace comes when you align your heart with what is, not with what you wish it were. Real calm isn't about ruling the universe. It's about mastering your own self. You don't need to control everything. You only need to choose who you're going to be in the face of what you cannot control. And that choice, it's all yours. The fear of seeming ungrateful. The guilt of cutting off someone who once meant a lot. But holding on to toxic people is like carrying a bag full of stones just because it used to be empty. The most painful relationships are usually the ones with deep emotional history. A longtime friend who turned manipulative, a family member who belittles you under the guise of concern, a partner who claims love while making you feel small. Instead of setting boundaries, you stay silent. Instead of walking away, you make excuses. And one day you wake up emotionally drained, without even noticing how much of yourself you gave up. Stoicism doesn't teach apathy, it teaches clarity. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul remains unshaken when it refuses to let what is outside disturb it." This is especially true in relationships. Not everything that comes from someone who says they love you is good for you. Not all closeness is healthy. Science supports this. Toxic relationships damage not just the mind, but the body. A study published in Psychosomatic Medicine found that people stuck in emotionally draining bonds show significantly higher levels of cortisol. Cortisol, the stress hormone, weakens your immune system, disrupts your sleep, affects memory and weight, and even lowers life expectancy. In other words, being around harmful people literally makes your body sick. And yet you still call that a bond that can't be broken? In such cases, silence becomes a form of protection. It's not about drama or explosive endings. It's about stepping back with quiet strength. No need for noise, just firmness. If someone constantly hurts you, if staying with them means erasing yourself, walking away is self-respect. Real respect starts when you stop sacrificing your well-being just to maintain the illusion of peace. Britney Spears is a striking example of what happens when others take control of your life. For years, despite her fame and talent, she couldn't make basic decisions. Her own father held legal control over her, claiming it was to protect her, while she couldn't even choose what to eat or where to go. Only recently did she begin to free herself, but the emotional damage had already been done. A woman with fortune and success, who for over a decade didn't even have control over her own body. That proves it. If you don't stand your ground, even people who say they love you can become your captors. In contrast, Taylor Swift chose another path. She walked away from controlling managers and fake friends, broke abusive contracts, bought back her creative and emotional freedom, and now runs her own career entirely. That wasn't luck, it was courage. The decision to silence what wounded her and cut off what no longer fit. And if you're thinking, but what if it's family? The truth remains. Love doesn't mean forced closeness. You can continue loving someone and still choose to walk away. Because real love never demands that you sacrifice your dignity or your inner peace. It is wise to set clear boundaries, reduce the frequency of contact, or choose not to open up emotionally to someone who doesn't handle your vulnerability with care. This is not selfishness, it's emotional wisdom, a form of mature self-respect that protects your mental and spiritual well-being. Start by observing how you feel after spending time with certain people. Do you feel light and inspired or drained and guilty? If you constantly feel emotionally exhausted, that's a red flag. Stop explaining, stop trying to be understood, just pull back. Let time, silence, and distance reveal what truly deserves a place in your life. Seneca once said, "Avoid those who make your efforts heavier." That sentence has the power to transform your life, because it's not about hating anyone. It's about no longer letting anyone damage your peace with your permission. Emotional freedom begins the moment you stop justifying what hurts you and understand that solitude can be healthier than staying in draining connections. And often, it's in quiet and firm withdrawal that you rediscover the space to rebuild your strength. Those who truly love you will respect your boundaries. Those who only show up when you erase yourself were never really there for you. You were not born to mold yourself into others' expectations, but to live in truth with yourself. Sometimes your healing begins the moment you decide to stop insisting. You move on, in peace and silence, but whole. You don't need to make noise to change your life. Just quietly and consciously cut away what pulls you away from your peace. Whether it's the need to please others, the weight of the past, the illusion of control, or relationships that suffocate you. Once you silence those noises, you start to hear yourself. And it's in that clarity that your true power is born. If you take just one quiet action today, a silent decision, a no you never dared to say, or a moment of reflection, it can already shift your day. And if done consistently, it can transform your entire life. Now that you understand this, there's a next step waiting for you. The video appearing on your screen will help you climb one more step on your journey through Stoic wisdom. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next video.